Hi, everyone, and welcome to another issue of the Car Reviews Podcast here on CollectorCarCanada.CA. In addition to our Car Reviews Podcast, just a reminder, we also run the Collector Car Stories Podcast, where we talk to a hobbyist or hobbyists every week or two, and we just get a story from them, be it about their car, their collection of cars, maybe a road trip or an event with cars. So do watch for it. It's called the Collector Car Stories Podcast, also on this same YouTube channel. And maybe you want to be a guest on it. Contact us via the website. You'll find a contact us link on every page, or just hit us up by email, admin@CollectorCarCanada.CA, and maybe we'll feature you on a future episode. For today, though, the car reviews. We have 4 pretty great cars to tell you about. I'm really excited about the lineup we've had the last few weeks. We'll start with our first Ferrari here on the website. It's a 1991 Ferrari 348 TB. So as you might guess, it's in red, Rosso Corsa, I guess we'd call it in Italian. The 348 simple simple terms that denoted by those digits. So it's a 3.4 liter V8 engine. People say rear engine. I make reference to it being in the rear. It's technically a rear mid-engine. All that means is that it rear in that it's behind the seats, and mid-engine being that it's between the 2 axles. So original owner on this car and under 49,000 kilometers on this 91 Ferrari 348 TB. The other interesting thing about that model name, or the important thing about the model name, TB, is to denote a coupe. So the T is for the transverse mounted engine, and all the 348s from 91 have the T. The B is for Berlinetta, which loosely translated from Italian, I didn't look it up, translates to coupe, so a slick top for this Ferrari 348. The other 2 body styles for 91 and the 348 are a TS, which is a conventional, I'd conventionally call it a Targa. That's not the Ferrari brand. However, yeah, I would call it a Targa with the fixed rear window. And there's also a 348T Spider, which is a more conventional convertible or roadster. I'll also mention clean Carfax on this car. It's linked on our detailed listing for lot 228 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. And I'll also mention that the owner of this car had it inspected by our third-party inspection service. The inspector's report also appears on the detailed listing. So again, that's lot 228, CollectorCarCanada.CA. Next up, we have a 2003 BMW M3. So that's the E46 generation of 3 Series. And this one's been modified. So this one's got plenty, starting with an M3, that's anything with the M badge from BMW. You're going to it's going to have racing and performance overtones, but this one is over the top. Lots and lots of performance upgrades and modifications to get this car ready for the track. Yet at the same time, it's being sold with a safety, an Ontario safety for Ontario buyers. So you can put license plates on this car and have it be your daily driver. So don't think of it exclusively as a track car. But this one is lot 229 on the website, CollectorCarCanada.CA. And just the list of modifications and performance upgrades make it worth the look. Carfax is there for this one. This one's had a couple of minor claims on the Carfax, but they're both from before 2010. So long before all these upgrades happened. And with the engine, you're pretty well getting an engine that's rebuilt anyway. So do take a look, 229 rather, on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Next up, a 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS. So this, as I say in the video with the car, this is the last of a breed. So the Impala started life in the 50s, and it was kind of the American everyman car that people aspire to. And this 96 is the last year of rear drive in the Impala. And this one's the SS, so it has the LT1 engine. Lots would think it's the same engine as a Corvette or a Camaro, high-end Camaro that year. They do have LT1 engines. They're tuned a little differently though. The sports cars are made more for high horsepower at high revs, whereas the engine in this Impala SS is for torque at the lower engine speed. So 330 pounds-feet of torque at a relatively low engine speed. Have a look, please. That one is lot 227 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. It's still the original owner, just like the Ferrari I told you about. And it also has a clean Carfax on the detailed listing. The last car we're going to show you today for this week is a 2003 Saab 9.3 RS convertible. So like the Ferrari, like the Impala SS, it's also an original owner car, and this one is a low miler. It's an 03 with under 51,000 kilometers. We've got the original bill of sale on the detailed listing for lot 230, and it shows an original price to the original owner of over $57,000 before taxes are even considered. I'll also mention that the bill of sale shows a 95 Saab was traded in, a Saab 900. So this 9.3 was the last 9.3, well, it was the first 9.3, but it's also the last one that was engineered by Saab before the change of control in 2000. A clean Carfax for this one as well. And this owner also took advantage of the opportunity to have a pre-purchase inspection done. You can see the results of it on the detailed listing. Again, lot 230 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. So again, a great lineup to show you today. 91 Ferrari 348 TB with the original owner under 49,000 kilometers, lot 228 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Then we have a 2003 modified BMW M3, and that is lot 229 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Ready for the street, ready for the track. Have a look. Next up, we've got the 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS. Again, it's with the original owner, under 61,000 kilometers. It's been inspected, and it's with the original owner, lot 227, CollectorCarCanada.CA. And the last one we're going to show you is the 2003 Saab 9.3 convertible RS trim. Again, it's got an inspection report to go along with it. Under 51,000 kilometers, still with the original owner, lot 230 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Thanks everyone for watching, and here come the cars. Hi everyone, and welcome to another fantastic car here on the CollectorCarCanada.CA Car Reviews Podcast. Keen Ferrari people will know that before you we have a 1991 Ferrari 348 TB, and it's with the gated 5-speed manual. You can find it on the website as lot 228 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Low miler and original family. It's still with the original family who purchased it in early 1991. On the clock, I see today 48,434, so it's going to have well under 49,000 kilometers on it when it goes to the new owner. Local car to the GTA. You'll see a dealership sticker when we take a close tour of the car. And right now we're shooting this in Burlington, Ontario. So it's always been based in the GTA. And I say that mostly so people will know that it's a Canadian market car. Again, the odometer in kilometers, under 49,000. So I'm going to give it a start. I've got the key in my hand here. We'll do our normal thing. We'll start it up, have a listen to the engine, and then have a listen to the exhaust, and then take a tour of the car. So without further ado, time for a startup. So nice clean start. We do have a cold start video on the detailed listing for lot 228, this Ferrari 348. But of course, we just drove over to this spot, and as you'd expect, the engine's a little bit warm. I see about 80 degrees for coolant temperature on the dash here. And I also wanted to mention that we just did the driving videos for the car. So I didn't get the privilege of driving the car, but almost as good. I was in the passenger seat. So I'm all amped up. It's always a good day when you get a ride in a Ferrari. So I'll jump out, I'll grab the camera, and we'll have a listen to the engine and then the exhaust. So as you might gather, there's an engine cover release here. You might hear me click it. And I'll make sure the car is in neutral and the park brake is set. And away we go. All right, so the engine's still idling from the start you just saw, despite the cut in the recording. We'll head back to the rear here because that's where you find the engine in this V8 rear engine, rear drive 1991 Ferrari 348 TB with a 5-speed gated transaxle. So I'll get the camera down with the microphone so you can hear it up close. And now moving to the exhaust, we've got twin exits on either side. So let's have a good listen to that. So that's one side on the left. Checking out the straight taillights for the big prancing horse in the center. So there's a good listen to engine and exhaust at idle on this 1991 Ferrari 348 TB, 3.4 liter V8 in the rear, 5-speed manual transaxle, gated. Interesting thing on opening the door, if you see this handle and you're not familiar, it might be tricky to figure out how to do it, but you just press the button and then grab the straking down below, and you'll look like an expert if you do it that way. So I'll just cut the engine because we don't need that right now, and leave it in the console. So let's take a little exterior tour of the 1991 Ferrari 348 TB. It's lot 228 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Original owning family since new, under 49,000 kilometers. So the 348 was the successor to the 328, and it was succeeded by the 355. As some may know, belt maintenance is a really important thing to keep in mind with these Ferrari 348s, and it can be expensive. I'm pleased to tell you that this car had a belt service and many other things attended to under 2,000 kilometers ago, 2 years ago. And we're going to have the work order on the detailed listing, but the work order totaled $27,000. So mechanically, this car is ready to go. It has been well maintained. And the only mechanical related issue I'll mention is the tires are old. The tires do have some tread on them. They're an old set of Bridgestone RE72s, but we recommend the new owner change the tires. We'll get a close-up look at those for sizing, but being that we're talking about the mechanicals, I'll also mention that the seller of this car made use of our mobile pre-purchase inspection service. So that's a third-party mechanic that came over and gave the car an inspection and gave it a clean bill of health. He noted the tires. He also noted the driver rear window, but having been around the car today, I think this fella just was not familiar with the mechanics of a Ferrari. We definitely have a video of the driver window in operation on the detailed listing. When we get to the interior, I'll try to keep it in mind and demonstrate it for you on this video as well. So it's noted in the first draft of the inspection. We're recording this on a holiday, so we're going to get after the inspection company on Tuesday, and we might get a second draft of it. But the first draft erroneously indicates that there's trouble with the driver's window mechanism. And F at all that. So getting in closer to the car, here's a good look at the first of the 4 Bridgestone RE71s. So up front here, the size we've got is a 215/50 ZR17. And nice clean wheel here in the driver's front. Really nice paint here, the Rosso Corsa. And I would mention earlier in the video about this being a GTA area car. You can see Gentry Lane Ferrari. Gentry Lane no longer has a Ferrari franchise, but it is still in business on DuPont Avenue in Toronto. They sell a lot of imports, and they do have a new franchise for Lotus cars. So one of the striking details of the 348, of course, a big step up from the 328, are these side strakes. Now, if you've seen them added to, say, a Pontiac Sunfire in the late 90s, you might have assumed that it's only a cosmetic appointment. And it's also borrowed from its big brother, the Ferrari Testarossa, which is a rear-engine V12 car. People familiar with Ferrari in the 80s will know the Testarossa. But as I say, perhaps it looks like only a cosmetic appointment, but opening up the door will demonstrate that the air really does flow through there, and it goes right here to this vent work to feed the engine. So it's more than a cosmetic look. The cosmetics of it make the car look like a hot little number, but even better, it does have a function. So these side mirrors, twin mirrors on either side, they kind of stand out away from the body of the car. Harkens to a Testarossa, but not by as much. The Testarossa mirror is even farther away from the body of the car, just because its rear end is wider than where the cabin is in the car. There are a couple of paint blemishes. As I'm speaking, I see one here above the driver door. I'm pulling out a coin to give you some perspective of it. So there we go, a scratch up here on top, untreated. And then I see another one here with the door opening. Probably see that now with the coin. A great little touch here. Just for the record, this is a Pininfarina design, and what a design it is. So as I say, people Ferrari familiar will know Pininfarina as a designer of many Ferrari looks and styles. Good look at the driver's rear wheel. Here we've got, it's a staggered setup. So here we've got a tire size 255/45 ZR17. It is a set of Bridgestone RE71s all the way around, a little wider in the rear than the front. Gas caps released from inside the cabin. We do have pictures of what lays underneath when that gas door is, that fuel refill door is opened. So the strake theme continues on the rear, and here with taillights underneath, you might assume it's just for cosmetics, but again, you can see some venting in here to the engine compartment. So it's good for cooling and a little bit of ventilation to keep that engine cool. And when we get into the engine, we'll take a look at what's on the other side. Lots of venting up here through these openings on the engine cover. Great looking Ferrari badge here on the edge of the engine cover. And there's the model. So there were 3 body styles of the 348. The TB here is a straight coupe, slick top. There's a 348 TS, which has a removable target type top. And then there's a 348 Spider, which is all but a conventional convertible. One thing that I got up close, in getting up close with the car today, I got to notice a little more closely than I normally do, just seeing a 348 whiz by, is this curved rear windshield. What a masterpiece. So count on the designers of Pininfarina to come up with something like that. I'll just step away from the car. Dual exhaust with twin exits on each side. We've got some close-ups of that on the detailed listing. Again, lot 228 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. And to my eye, my naked eye, partly because I know it's there, I see what's probably the biggest flaw on this car. I'll come in and zero in on it. I don't see any paint breakage, but there is a bit of a dent there. Maybe it's repairable with PDR. I'm not sure, but I did want to show it to you. So looking at the rear 3/4 look here, we're right beside a train station, hoping for no trains to go by. So here's another look at a wheel. So this is the only wheel where I noticed some marking. So on the passenger side rear, there's a little bit of curbing right there. No problem at all for a wheel refinisher to take care of that. And the nice thing is that only one of the wheels needs doing. Another Bridgestone RE71 in the 255 45 ZR17 size. And I'll cruise in closely to see the Ferrari branding on the calipers. So all 4 calipers, the 4-wheel disc setup, show the Ferrari brand. Just when I say it, a train comes by, but he'll be cruising on through. Shouldn't bother us. So here's a good look on the shady side of the car, of the straking. It really is a fantastic Ferrari period look. I'll open this door too so we can see the venting toward the engine bay. So that's where the air flows to. And here's our last wheel, passenger side front, Bridgestone RE71, 215/50 ZR17. No markings on this wheel. So 3 of the 4 wheels are unmarked. Just the light marking on the passenger side rear. And here's a good look at that passenger side mirror. It's sort of positioned off away from the body of the car, given that the rear is a little wider than at the cabin. Kind of tapers outward. Here's a fantastic look at the front of the car. Now, this front spoiler, it's suffering from some stone chipping. There's a little bit of chipping on the red paint. We did the same trick when we photographed the car. We've got some photos of the chips on the red with the coin to give you a sense of perspective. But we'll just show the whole front spoiler to see where there's a little bit of marking on it. But all in all, a fabulously presented car here for lot 228 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. The 1991 Ferrari 348 TB with 5-speed gated manual, 3.4 liter V8 engine mounted in the rear. The transaxle gets the power to the rear wheels only. So let's take a look inside. Another look at this cabin door. So before I forget, I'll demonstrate the driver's window for you so that I can corroborate what I said about the inspector's note about the driver's window. So I'll show you what he found. He tried to open the window or close the window with the door open. As you see, we get no action with the door open. But the only trick is, just need to shut the door. And up it goes. No problem at all. And on the driver's side, it's a one-touch window. Down it goes. All good. So I'll turn the engine. I'll take the key out. The engine wasn't running. I was just sitting in the on position. So a little look at the instrumentation. Typical Ferrari of the period. We've got a Speedometer, which maxes out at 300 kilometers an hour. Another important use of the number 300, factory rated at 300 horsepower when this car was new. So that was a big number for model year 1991. Also corroborates what I said earlier about this being a Canadian market car, being that we've only got the kilometers an hour markings on the speedometer. For the tach, it's pretty extreme. There's a 10,000 RPM reading on that tach, but you don't want to go quite that high. Red line at 7,500. Up above, we've got oil pressure, and down below, water temperature. And in the center, there are a couple of more gauges for oil temp and fuel gauge. Under here is where the aftermarket Alpine head unit is. So that's got a CD player. Check our detailed listing for more details about that. And then climate control is found below these two gauges. A couple more buttons there for rear defrost, 4-ways, parking lights. And then the pièce de résistance for a lot of people with Ferrari is the gated manual. So this one, as I mentioned, is a 5-speed transaxle with reverse in the top right, or sorry, top left rather, and the knob's got to be pushed down to get into the reverse in the top left. You can see how the knob has to be, the shifter has to be pushed down to get it into place for reverse. Over here we've got power locks, a dome light, and the release for the fuel door. And continuing on in the console, there's a nice clean ashtray here. By the looks of this lighter, it's never been used, but of course you could have a 12 volt outlet in modern times with that. Here's a beautiful key ring to go along with the Ferrari key. The number of keys included with the sale are indicated in the detailed listing. Again, lot 228 for this 1991 Ferrari 328 TB. And a little storage. Just a tiny storage compartment here in the console to go along with it. There's a good look at the passenger seat with the big bolsters. Manual seats here in the 1991 Ferrari 348 TB. A weight savings, and power seats were not quite everywhere back in the early 90s. I think I had that steering wheel a little off center. So there's a good look at the 3-spoke steering wheel with the Ferrari prancing horse in the center. Quite a nice presentation. Just lights on either side. The bright lights control is on a separate stalk from the turning on the lights with the indicators, and wipers over here. One vent, 2 in the center, 1 on the far side. Glove box here with some purse liners in it, so I'm not going to open it all the way, but it just folds up, hinged at the top. Here's how you open a door. And I'll show you the rear parcel shelf next. This badge is photographed in the detailed listing for some of the critical data about the car. So we've got some speakers back here, and I'll just release the seat there, and you can get a look at the area behind the seat. So with the rear engine, not much space at all, but there is a front trunk for the car. So I'll give you another look at the engine. I just released it with this handle there. So here we are with the V8, a 3.4 liter V8, rear mounted. And the other thing I'll mention is it's 300 horsepower plugged into the rear wheels only through a 5-speed manual transaxle. And here's the other side of the venting we saw in between the taillights. So just an escape for heat, being that that's the muffler exhaust system right here. And all of these decals are photographed up close on the detailed listing. Oil fill with a really nice metal Ferrari branded cap. And next up, I'll show you the front trunk. To be honest with you, it needs a bit of a vacuum, but I don't want to leave it out. It's a very windy day today, so the gas-filled shocks that keep the front trunk open, they're doing their job, but my hand's right here, you can see it's doing its job, but I might keep my shoulder in the way of it. I don't want to lose the door. Here's the factory toolkit that came with the car. Nice Italian leather. Won't open up all the way. We do have some photos of it open all the way in the detailed listing. But below the what you see here are some wrenches in addition to the screwdrivers, pliers, and tow hook. Some extra lights in there as well. And probably important for me to show you that. A nice Ferrari blazoned leather. And just as pretty leather. Here's a case with the owner's manual. I'm not going to open that up with one hand. It is photographed on the detailed listing. Here's an antenna that's not installed, but that'll come with the car as well. And lastly, I've been inside of this. I can't remember what I did find. Oh, it's just a map light you can plug into the lighter. So I did notice the Prancing Horse logo on it though, so it's a Ferrari item. How do you like that? So that's a good look at it. Close that up. And there's also some fuses and relays in here. On the other side's the washer fluid fill. I won't show you that. It is photographed on our detailed listing. I better get that antenna out of the way before I close the front trunk cover. So let's take one more walk around it and we'll move to some finishing thoughts. So 1991 Ferrari 348 TB, under 49,000 kilometers, factory rated at 300 horsepower for this 3.4 liter V8 in the rear. That gets the power to the rear wheels using 5-speed manual gated transaxle. Original Ferrari wheels on it, of course. I don't think this car has been treated to any modifications. It's looking really stock. Really striking here on a nice bright sunny day. So there's a great look at our 1991 Ferrari 348 TB. So TB, B is for Berlinetta, T is for the engine style, and the Berlinetta implies that this car is a coupe as opposed to the 348 TS, which has a removable targa top, and the 348 Spider, which is a conventional convertible. So again, lot 228 on CollectorCarCanada.CA for this 1991 Ferrari 348 TB. It's got a 3.4 liter V8 engine in the rear, and that gets the power to the rear wheels through a 5-speed gated manual transaxle, factory rated at 300 horsepower. So we're really excited to have the Ferrari. Please take a look. Again, lot 228 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Thank you for watching, and on to the next car. Hi everyone, and welcome to another amazing car here on CollectorCarCanada.CA Car Reviews Podcast. Today we're looking at a 2003 BMW M3. So this is from the E46 generation, and just calling it an M3 certainly sells it short. You can tell that this car is heavily modified for performance. It's modified mechanically, it's modified in the interior, it's modified in the exterior, and we're going to talk about that in this video. It's lot 229 on CollectorCarCanada.CA, so please take a look at it there once you're done looking at the video. For now, we're going to give it a start, and we have company. Hello, man. Enjoy your walk this morning. And so we'll start the engine, have a listen to the engine itself, and then the exhaust. Then I'll grab the camera for a handheld held portion, give you a little tour of the car. So here we go. So if you sensed a little delay there, I didn't realize I needed to have my foot on the brake to start the car. So once I got my foot on the brake, nice easy start. So I'll hop out, pop the hood first here, and we'll start our little tour. Okay, here's a look at the 03 M3 at rest while idling. I wanted to show you this before I open the hood. being an owner of an era BMW myself. Just an ingenious little hood release here. You grab this handle, pop it, and that's the second release after opening it up in the cabin. So here's a look at the 3.2 liter inline 6 S54 engine stock in a 2003 M3. This one's been juiced up though. It's got a supercharger, and we'll get into the details of that in a moment. But for now, let's give it a good listen. If you see the white wire in the picture, it's just my microphone. I'm using the microphone to get closer to the engine for a good listen. So we'll get a little more into the details of the mods after we shut down the engine. But for now, there's a good look and listen to it. Now I'll move my way back to the rear. I'll show you this label for the paint color. I showed you the label for the VIN under hood as well. But let's get a listen to the exhaust. So we've got twin outlets on either side on this BMW M3. Now of course the exhaust itself has been modified, but the placement of the twin pipes on the two sides remains stock. So they're on the side but kind of centrally mounted. So there's the 70-inch rear spoiler. Again, I'll get into those modifications when we get going with the exterior portion of the video. So for now, I don't think we need that engine running. I'm going to shut down the engine. And we'll leave the key in place. So normally I start with the exterior, but being that the hood is open here, and I've got so much more to say about performance of this car, we'll start with this part. So cruising right in on this, again, it's so stock, it's a S54 BMW 3.2 liter. And I suppose the biggest modification is this supercharger we see here. It's by ESS Tuning. You can see its branding right there. And the transmission in this car is the SMG, the sequential manual gearbox, and it's got a CSL tune. So there's M3s and then there are M3 CSLs. The BMW aficionados in the crowd will know what I'm talking about. Another neat mod here is the 19-inch Cranston forged 3-piece wheels, and they're skinned in Toyos. We'll look at it a little more closely when we do our exterior tour. JBT Racing and Rotora calipers underneath those wheels. More to do with the engine running. We've got an AEM E85 compatible fuel pump. There's an AFD ProFlex E85 fuel kit. So E85, that's that ethanol blend we see at some fuel service stations nowadays. There's a Bimmer World fuel starvation kit. Down below, we've got AKG Motorsport engine mounts. Here's an aluminum rad. So that aluminum radiators by CFS Race. It's a triple pass with the same brand oil cooler. There's a Mishimoto power steering fluid radiator. A Moroso coolant reservoir. We see the Moroso name over here. And on the inside, we've got a display for it, but there are AIM data sensors monitoring the engine at all times. And the headers are OBX Racing Sports 6-to-1, and they're catless. And the exhaust, which I suppose we've heard, you can't see it right now, of course, but it's by Beluga Racing. Again, catback. So that's a pretty good tour of the engine bay. I'll show you this VIN again. Certainly it matches to the VIN on the dash and in the door jamb. And we also have the registration for the car, where we checked it out. And there's the color, the Mystic Blue Metallic. Blau being German for blue. So there's some of those AST suspension components. So that's a good look down there. Let's close that up. And there's a beauty shot of the front of the car, the BMW Motorsport windshield decal being pretty prominent. And that aluminum cooler is quite conspicuous by its presence in the opening without the grille work down below the bumper cover. Tow hook ready to go for the track. And the beautiful Bayerisch Motorwerken badge here, BMW. Now this seller has talked about stone chips on the front. I suppose I can see a little bit what he's talking about, but he's a pretty particular owner. I don't know if you can even see them in this light, but if you can, that's about what we're looking at. So pretty, for a 2003, they're quite minor, but to this seller's credit, he's told us about them. The familiar 4-eye look with the BMW lights, although one of them is given up in favor of an intake here. So on the driver's side, bright light Bosch covers on that headlight as well. Intakes down here as well, and here's a front splitter with an easy off function. So Mystic Blue Metallic, like I say, and the body kit is by Pandem, a wide body kit by Pandem. You can see there are carbon fiber components throughout the exterior of the car. The rear diffuser, we'll go take a look at that, being that we're talking about it anyway. So you can see down there with that metal part, it's equipped with an easy off system in case you wanted to operate the car without. And then the fender flares, quite evident. You can see them here on the rear, and you can even see them on the front in this picture, but you'll see them throughout the video, of course. Xenon headlights up front, and this 70-inch rear wing. That's by Battle Arrow. The trunk lid is a CSL style trunk lid. You can see it's got the carbon fiber spoiler on it, in addition to the Battle Arrow wing here. And then the hood as well, by VIS Racing in the GTR style. So as I say, the front bumper and the splitter are equipped with easy off systems. And we'll take a more conventional walk around, highlighting some of the features of the exterior of this car. Again, the 19-inch wheels we talked about, they're skinned in Toyo Proxys R888s. So these are made for the track. No winter driving with these. Nice and clean, but you can see the M Performance calipers are still in place, or sorry, the caliper covers at least. I talked about the calipers earlier. Got a cross-drilled rotor there. The familiar M3 venting for the E46 M3 still in place, and those fender flares kind of work around it. Here's a look at the extreme side skirt. Another item that this owner mentioned to us, as I say, he's pretty particular. We always ask what are the flaws of a car. He mentioned that these side mirrors might need refinishing. I'm noticing also that there's BMW insignia here on the windshield to indicate an OEM item. And there's a look at the VIN number. So the car is equipped with a sunroof. Keep it closed at the track. Mystic Blue Metallic again is the color, and a seriously staggered set of wheels on this car. Maybe I'll give you the tire measurements. So again, Toyo Proxys R888 tires. And I see a date code here of 2020, so they're not dated at all really. And here's a look at the tire size. We're looking at the rear tire here, 325/30/19. I remember they're 30 size, 30 profile in the front as well, but let's get the full size. So here it is. Unfortunately, it's upside down for the picture, but 295/30 ZR19 with the Y speed rating. Here's a good look at what this Mystic Blue Metallic looks like in the sun. It really is a pretty color. Not quite Laguna Seca blue, but I do like the Mystic Blue Metallic. Another cutout we need here for the fender flares for the fuel door, but it's certainly accounted for by the manufacturer of the fender flares. There's the easy off item for that rear splitter. All of the wheels look quite good. I think the biggest mark I see on one is right here, and I'll show that with a coin just to reinforce that it's pretty minimal. There you can see. Working our way around. Again, this side mirror, it's a little messy. I wouldn't call it totally unpresentable, but if you're wanting to make this car perfect, maybe that'd be where you start. And there's a good look at the car from the 2 o'clock angle. We'll climb inside, have a little tour of the interior. Before I climb in, you'll see a lot of sporting appointments here, starting with the door cards. No more map pockets and conventional door handles. The red strap operates the latch, and the black strap is just a pull handle to bring the door closed. The M3 door jamb treatment remains. You can see the 6-point harness here. There's the VIN in the door jamb with some other information. 2 fire extinguishers inside this car. One here directly behind the driver's seat. One here in the rear. Okay, we're going to use our backup video for the rest of the video due to a technical challenge. So yeah, the 2 fire extinguishers, as I mentioned, one behind the driver's seat, one below the roll cage in the rear. You'll note that the rear seats have been removed to accommodate that 4-point cage. And I'll just go over the modifications to the interior of the car. There is a set of Corbeau racing seats. The model name is set out on our detailed listing. Again, it's lot 229 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. There's a flat bottom steering wheel in micro suede. The diameter is in micro suede by AZA. Mentioned this earlier in the video. There's an AIM digital display, and there's also an Extron display. You'll see photos of it in our detailed listing. The Extron, among other things, is the monitor for backup camera and navigation. The 4-point cage you saw while we were showing you the fire extinguishers is a 4-pointer. It's by Bayside Fabrication. There are hard motorsport door cards with the pull strap, so we were demonstrating those for you. There's carbon fiber trim throughout the interior. Get a good look at those from the stills on the detailed listing. In addition to the micro suede for the steering wheel diameter, the parking brake boot is also finished in micro suede. And the center console's been changed out to a Euro style number, so the armrest and the cup holders are removed on the Euro style center console. So that gives you a good sense of it. As I say, we didn't get as much of a video tour of the interior as we had planned due to that technical challenge, but it's well photographed in our detailed listing in the still photos. You'll see a number of stock appointments just complemented with the aftermarket pieces. So in addition to the AIM and Extron digital displays, you'll also see the factory instrumentation. So that gives you a good sense. So just moving to some closing thoughts. Again, this is a 2003 BMW M3 Coupe with extensive modifications for performance And for cosmetics, it's finished in a blue. We call it Mystic Blue Metallic, or rather BMW calls it Mystic Blue Metallic. And the interior is black, most of which has been changed out for the performance modifications. Again, it's lot 229 in CollectorCarCanada.CA. Thank you for watching, and we're going to move on to the next car. Hi everyone, and welcome to another great car here on the Car Reviews Podcast. Don't forget, we also have the Collector Car Stories Podcast. Have a look at that. We run it every week, and we have fun with an enthusiast or group of enthusiasts about a car collection. Maybe it's a certain special car, a road trip, or just a car story. So yeah, check that out on CCC Podcasts link on any page of the website. And please do remember to share these podcasts around among your car friends helping car friends. And drop us a like if you like what we see in the video. If you don't, please leave us a comment. Tell us how we can be better. But those likes do help the YouTube algorithms find the right viewers for these videos. And do subscribe to them, where you'll be the first to know about the new stories on the CCS podcast and the new cars on the CR podcast. So back to the car we have today. It is kind of the last of a breed. It's a 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS. It's going to be lot 227 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Again, a 96 Chevy Impala SS. I'm going to give it a start. Then we'll have a listen to the engine and the exhaust and take a little tour of the car. So without further ado, here we go with a start. So no problem at all with the start. You can hear even as the engine idles and the camera, a good 15 feet away from the car, you can hear there's a bit of a rumble from the exhaust, and we'll get close up to that in just a minute here. All right, engine's still idling. Here's a look at the, I call it a heavy Chevy from a distance with the lights on. Now those are just the running lights, so the full headlights come on just with the car running. And we'll get a good look at the 5.7 liter LT1. All right, as you can see, this Chevy Impala SS from the last year of the Impala SS for rear drive cars, 1996. And that's what I meant about the last of a breed, the last of the rear drive Impala SSs. But as you see in there, there's some customizations to the performance part of the deal with the 96 Impala SS. I'll call out a few. Just as I see with the naked eye, but please do take a look at our detailed listing for lot 227 to get a full sense of the list where we've got them itemized out there. So I see a K&N filter along to the intake, and we see a Edelbrock name. There's a big stabilizer bar. That's my Hotchkiss Performance, as you see. Aftermarket battery, as you might expect, but somehow an interstate suits this big domestic. I'll give you a look at the diagrams that are still in place. Another Hotchkiss label on the stabilizer bar. So there's a good sense of what's under hood here with the 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS. going to put the hood down. As you see, there are gas-powered shocks to keep the hood up, no prop rod. And you also see the custom look of the hood against the glossy paint of the fender. That hood's got a matte finish. And check the details on the detailed listing for the particulars of that hood. It's definitely not the steel of the fender. So another modification to this car are the side exhausts. So we'll have a listen to those. They're equipped at both sides of the bumper cover. So there's one. I'll bring the camera across the rear and you can see that gold colored Impala emblem. So there's a good listen to the exhaust. I think the camera lens has been fogged up from the steam coming out of that pipe, but we'll clear up here in a minute. At the moment though, we don't need the engine running anymore. So I'm gonna cut it, but before I do, I'll give you a look at that odometer. A nice low miler for a 96, under 62,000 kilometers. Wow. And the big airbag in the steering wheel. So now we'll take a tour of the exterior of the car. And as I say, under 62,000 kilometers, 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS with the 5.7 liter LT1 V8 engine. It was rated at 260 horsepower from the factory with 330 pounds-feet of torque. And there's a 4-speed automatic in place, and that gets the power to the rear wheels only. So again, that's why I say the last of the breed, the last year of Impala SS with rear drive. Now, it's really common for people to talk about the similarities of the LT1 here in the Impala SS with the period Corvettes and the top-end Camaro. One thing that is different is that the heads are in cast iron in this car, whereas on the Corvette and the high-end Camaro, they are aluminum. And another thing that's different on the engineering side is that the sports cars, the two-door cars, are more developed for high-end, high-rev horsepower, whereas this car here in the Impala SS, it's more about the low-end torque. And that's why I gave you the torque figure. And that just makes sense for the bigger, heavier people mover performance car in the Chevy lineup in 1996. So we've got some polished wheels with that Impala emblem in the center cap. And the tires on this car are a Nitto NT450. They're V-rated for a speed rating, and at all four corners, the size is 275, 50, R17. So 17-inch wheels all around, and a square setup with 275, 50, R17. Nitto NT450 Extreme Performance. Working our way around the car, there is a remote lock control on a fob. We've got that with us, but I thought I'd point out also that this is before the keyholes started disappearing on the passenger side. So there's a keyhole on both the passenger side and the driver's side. Nowadays, a lot of cars have dropped the keyhole on the passenger side because most of us rely on our remote fobs, and we've got the keyhole in the driver's side as a backup if the fob were to malfunction. Good look at the polished wheel here on the passenger side rear. We'll take a good look at as we shoot on the video but I haven't noticed any marks on these wheels. So the first two we've seen are without mark, and we'll take a look at the other side as well. Here's another one of the Impala emblems. The gold is fading a little bit on that one. And again, here's a feature I really like about this car, and that is the side exit exhaust with polished tips, one on each side. Stock item here is the stock item for the Impala SS is the rear spoiler built right onto the trunk. Another of the Impala emblems. And this emblem, you can see it in the 60s Impalas too. I don't know that it was used throughout the whole run of Impala, but you do see it on the 60s cars. Here's another look. Here's a look at another, the other polished exit on the side of the car here on the driver's side. And this car is equipped with a tow hook, or not a tow hook, rather a tow hitch. And the owner's got a decorative Chevrolet badge just covering it up. Then over here to the driver's side rear wheel. Again, a nice polished look with the Nitto NT450 Extreme Performance. And no marks on that wheel either, with that beautiful Impala insignia in the center cap. Tinted windows on this car. You can get a good look at the emblems on the windows themselves in the detailed listing. Lot 227 again. And door handle here for the driver has that keyhole, just like we saw on the passenger side and I was talking about. Dual color-coded mirrors. They're power, but we'll get into that when we get to the inside of the car. And then the fourth wheel, also unmarked, with the polished finish and that Impala logoed center cap. Getting back towards the front of the car. As I say, please look us up on lot 227 on CollectorCarCanada.CA for the particulars of that aftermarket hood. Chevy emblem centered up in the grille. With it being red on the black reminds me of the bow tie nickname for that emblem. Popular with the NASCAR set, as this car might be as well. And the last thing I want to show you outside, well, I guess I'll show you that where the power antenna sits, the other dual mirror, and the sunroof, which is power controlled. It's got a slider as well as a pop top style. So that should do us for the exterior. Come with me, we'll climb in and have a look at the inside of the car. So last I say of the rear drive Impalas here in 96, and it's a really roomy interior. We did the driving videos a little earlier. Please do take a look at those. We show the car accelerating, we show the car braking, we show it cruising at city speed, we show it cruising at highway speed, and there's a highway entry. But one thing we noticed was that the armrest for the left arm of the driver is, there's a good distance between it and the steering wheel, which just goes to serve how wide the car is. So power controls here for the windows, as you'd expect, but also the power seat is controlled up here. Power locks up here on the side of the door, on the vertical edge of the door, and then power mirrors up here. This car's been treated to a number of aftermarket appointments. As you'll see here, there's an Alpine Bluetooth deck with rear view camera. Couple of appointments for it. There are tweeters just inside the mirrors on both doors. And then up here on the top of the A-pillar, there's a microphone for the in place of a headset. You can use that as your microphone if using the phone functionality for the Bluetooth. Rear view mirrors got some map lights and air conditioning, as you'd expect. So manually operated air conditioning. The EM button is to alternate between metric controls and Imperial on the dash, and the other one's the trip reset, and a lighter as you'd expect for 1996. There's a little cubby down there in front of the shifter, another Impala emblem. 4-speed automatic, as I say. We've got the name of the GM 4-speed in place in the detailed listing for lot 227. I feel like I know what it is off the top of my head, but I'm going to direct you to our detailed listing so that on the off chance I don't have it right, I don't want to steer you wrong. Armrest between the two bucket seats. So it would have been common in older Impalas to have a bench across in the front, but bucket seats in this Impala. And inside that armrest, there's a little bit of storage space as well. Deep, pretty deep actually. And this, the owner of this car has a dashboard cover in place to protect it. We did peel it off earlier. Check our photos on the detailed listing, lot 227, and you can see the dash, the naked dash, I'll call it, without the dash protector in place. I don't want to mess it up, so I'm going to leave it in place as we shoot the video. And one last item I'll point from the front of the cabin, well, a couple of them. The owner's gone to perforated aluminum pedals, automatic transmission, of course, so just the two, as well as the emergency brake on the far left. But these floor mats do a really great job of covering all of the carpet. We did peel back some of it for the photos in the detailed listing, so you can have a look at those if you like. And there's one additional seat adjustment, which is not power, and that's to control the recline function. Other functions are right up here on the door. We'll take a look at the passenger side as well. And then, of course, a big car like this, the back seat is worthy of a look as well. So there's a good glove box. There's a view of the glove box in our detailed listing and photos. There are some personal items on there inside of it, so I prefer not to open it for the video. Another neat appointment, all 4 corner headrests have the Impala SS embroidery on them. But there's a good look at the width of the bucket seats. Into the rear, gray interior, gray leather I might add, and 5 passengers here. You can see the front seat, or the middle seat belt rather, is resting over the bench. Shoulder belts for the outboard passengers in the rear, and there's an armrest as well. So if there are only 2 passengers or 1 passenger, the armrest can be made of use. There's the Impala SS logo here on the headrest, and the Impala insignia in the center above the armrest. Speakers up there on the parcel shelf with the gray matching carpet. Power windows all around, so there's the control for the rear. Map pockets on the seat backs of the front buckets. So I'm gonna grab that key fob I was mentioning earlier, and we'll use it to get into the trunk. There are a few personal items in the trunk, but not too personal. They're more car related, so we can take a look. But here's a look at the stock key fob. Familiar to GM people of the 90s, certainly. I recognize it. So just one button, one touch of the button. And here's the business end of that Alpine head unit I mentioned. So that's our look at the 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS. It's lot 227 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Just a few other details about it. See our detailed listing for all of them. But again, lot 227, it's under 62,000 kilometers. It's got a 5.7 liter V8 engine with some modifications under the hood. We showed some of them in the video, but do refer to the detailed listing for the whole itemized list. A 5.7 liter, originally rated at 260 horsepower, with 330 pounds-feet of torque. It's the LT1 GM V8 of the period, also found in Corvette and top-end Camaro. The one here in the Impala, though, it's engineered more for low-end torque. The Corvettes and the Camaros, LT1s, are more for high-rev horsepower. The low-end torque really suits the bigger car we have here in the Impala SS. 4-speed automatic transmission, getting all that power to the rear wheels. And please do take a look at the detailed listing. CollectorCarCanada.CA, lot 227 on the 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS. Thank you for watching. Please do share it with your friends. Throw us a like. It doesn't cost you a nickel. And thank you for watching, and on to the next car. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another great car here on the Car Reviews Podcast with CollectorCarCanada.CA. Today, we've got a pretty neat car to show you. It's a 2003 Saab 9.3 convertible. So the model is 9-3. We just say 9.3. It's the successor to the Saab 900. And over 1,000 improvements were made to this 9.3 from the outgoing 900 back in the late 90s. General Motors took over at Saab in 2000. So this car was engineered before that, although technically it was produced afterwards. Most might think it was built in Sweden. However, this one was built in neighboring Finland. So what we'll do, we'll give the car a start, take a look under the hood, listen to the engine, then we'll listen to the exhaust, and then take a tour of the entire car. So here we go with a startup. Nice easy start. The car is blessed with under 51,000 kilometers. We took a look around and we couldn't find another 03 Saab 9.3 in the province of Ontario, which is where this is being shot, at under 200,000 kilometers. So that's a testament certainly to the longevity of the cars. And at under 51,000 kilometers, this one's got a lot of life left. Original owner car, I might add, so very gently used by that original owner. So what we'll do, I'll pop the hood and then I'll grab the camera. We'll do a handheld camera tour of the car. So the hood's popped and I'll jump out, come get the camera. All right, so here's a good look at the engine compartment of the 03 Saab 9.3. There is a turbocharger under the hood here. You can see the 2.0 turbo label there. So a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder engine, and with the turbo it's good for over 200 horsepower. Please check the particular specs right on our detailed listing at CollectorCarCanada.CA. You're going to find it there as lot 230, lot 230 at CollectorCarCanada.CA. So I'll zoom in again on the camera. With the beauty cover, I don't see a belt, but we can get in and have a listen. So the direct ignition label there, we're going to see a spare part in the trunk related to that. Here's a good look at the shock towers. It's a little dusty, but pretty clean. I don't see any corrosion on it, and that certainly is consistent with what we might expect for a car with under 51,000 kilometers with the original owner. The Y at the beginning of the VIN number here, certainly the VIN number matches on the dash and in the door jamb, and we've checked the VIN number to the registration for the car, but that Y signifies a car that was built in either Sweden or Finland. They don't differentiate, whereas most of the other countries in the world, there's a first digit specific to the country of origin. So there's a good look at the 2003 Saab 9.3 SE convertible, finished in silver, the original silver, on a black interior. So let's take a little tour of the exterior, and we see a few neat sort of Saab features about it. Saab's known, I suppose, for being a little quirky, and it's I guess it's compatriot Volvo, also a Swedish company. I'm used to seeing the headlight wipers on Volvos of the period as well. So there we go. It might be worth mentioning that Saab started life as an airplane manufacturer. So a bit like BMW in that it went to cars after it had started the company with airplanes. So there are a couple nicks in this silver original finish. We'll zoom in on them as we see them. We've already done our photo shoot, so we've spotted a few. And as we're shooting the video here, I see a scratch here, and there's one continuation of it on the hood. The tires are Michelin Pilot Sport AS3, I think I saw. We've got a nice close-up of them on the detailed listing. The size is 215/45 with a 17-inch diameter on the wheel. Original wheels. I did notice the tires are date coded 2016. So with a 51k kilometer car with tires that are 8 years out of 21 years in service for less than 50% of the mileage of the car, you can probably rest assured that they're pretty low milers. W speed rating for the tires, Pilot Sport AS3 by Michelin. Tread looks quite good. Front wheel drive car. I don't think I've mentioned that. So there's a side indicator, typical of a European car, and there's an SE badge too to back up what I said about the SE trim. Square setup for the wheels and tires, so 215/45 ZR17 here in the rear as well. I also see a 2016 date code on this tire, and W rated. I'm just realizing we've still got the engine running. I don't think we need the engine running for this part of the video, so I'm going to cut it off. As we'll see in the tour of the interior, Saabs have their key here on the console, so I'll cut the engine. Great shot here in the end of day sun. The only problem is there's a sign blocking the door portion of the sun, so that's what the shadow's from. But life is not perfect, what can we say? So with the 2-liter turbo, it exhales through a single exhaust, and there's a good look at that. On the detailed listing, you can see a startup, engine idle, and exhaust video, so you can hear the exhaust exhaust at idle in that video. Nice polished tip as well. There's the Saab brand. The one emblem here on the trunk lid, it's consistent. It would be consistent with the one we saw on the hood, but it's had its finish chipped off. So you can still see the outline of the Saab badge, and certainly replaceable if one wanted to. But I do want to point out the little defects as we see. And there's the 9.3 model. I think technically there's a hyphen in the model name, but I think they went with that script to encourage the use of the term 9.3. And I believe that's also why the 9 is a larger font size than the 3. I skipped over a little blemish here on the corner of the rear bumper that's been touched up. I'm not even sure if the camera will pick it up, but it's quite minor. Certainly from 7 feet away, I'm not able to see it. There is another on the other corner. It's a little more noticeable, but again, not too major. I'm changing hands with the camera so I can pull out a coin to give you a sense of perspective on the size of the imperfection. But there we go. But otherwise, in the rear here, those tail lights look nice and clean, no cloudiness on them, and the paint's got a nice shine, even though the owner of the car didn't do a specific clean. It's been sitting, it was sitting in her garage, and it's got a little dust on it, and I think it also sat on her driveway while it rained, so there's some rain marks on it. So I don't think this car's been mistreated at all, but it's not perfectly clean today. I didn't check the driver's rear wheel for marks. Let's take another look at that. We do see a little mark here, but that's the only one on that wheel. Working our way over to the passenger side, I do see minor marking on this wheel as well, right there under the Michelin logo of the Michelin Pilot All Season 3s, AS3. Same tire all the way around. And we're seeing a lot of the same things on this side as we saw on the driver's side. Of course, we're in the shade side of the car. Give you a good look at the nice clean fuel refill area. I even pulled the cap too, so give you a little peace of mind that it's a nice clean setup for the filler neck as well. Antenna also looks good, no brittleness or cracking on the rubber part there. And over here, I'm not sure if you would have seen the keys got a remote lock function on it. So it's not a separate fob right on the key. I did note on the driver's door that there is a keyhole, but here on the passenger side there's not. So that keyhole on the driver's side is just in case that system should fail or your battery and the key dies. Here's a look at the SC badge here on the passenger side fender with the indicator light, the fender mounted indicator light, and the front right wheel, again marking I suppose consistent with the other wheels. Not disastrous, but not perfect. And getting around again, so I'm going to take there is a little bit of marking here on the front bumper cover too as well underneath this fog light, so I wanted to share that. So we're back to where we started here. Headlight wiper here on the passenger side as well. So before we go inside, I think what I'll do is I'll give the car a 360 walk around for you, and we'll end up back at the driver's door to take a look at the interior. Pretty easy to do here with the car in the sun and the top down. 2003 Saab 9.3 SE convertible, 2-liter 4-cylinder inline 4 with a turbo, good for over 200 horsepower. Again, check all of the detailed specs please on our detailed listing for lot 230 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. So there's a good look at the driver's side in the sun. Beautiful day here in this park where we're shooting. Cruising in on that driver's door. And there's the keyhole I mentioned when we were over on the passenger side. But let's jump in, have a quick tour of the interior. I won't jump in, it might be easier to do from here. So there's a door card. You don't see a window control. The power windows are mounted, the switches are mounted in the center console, but you do see a remote trunk release here, door latch, and there's a speaker and a pretty generous map pocket. I've got lights on the left side here. Headlights at the top, fogs in the center, down below the interior dome light. 4 spoke steering wheel here on the 03 Saab with an airbag within. There's an airbag over here on the passenger side as well. You can see the SRS, which stands for Supplemental Restraint System. And we got some head unit, or well, I suppose I'll say stereo controlled buttons on either side of that airbag mount on the leather wrapped 4-spoke steering wheel. Looking at instrumentation, I'm not going to switch the key to on, but we do have some photos with the key on. You'll see what the dash looks like with a few lights on. Just in the normal start process, everything's working as engineered, but a center mounted speedometer with a max reading of 260 kilometers an hour, which I suppose says something. To its left, 7,000 RPM tachometer with our 6,000 RPM red line, and a multi-gauge cluster over on the right of the speedometer. On the left side of that multi-gauge is the coolant temperature, on the right side fuel level, and then up top is a boost indicator to let the driver know how much of the turbo's juice he's using. I pointed out the speaker on the door. There's a matching one on the passenger door. There's also a speaker up here on the dash, on both sides, of course. Head unit with single CD player here in the dash, but there's a CD changer in the trunk, and it is branded Saab. So it's a Saab OEM item. I'm not sure if it would have been factory installed or dealer installed, but it is in place. One thing I didn't show is the control for the cruise, and of course, as you might expect, that controls the brights and the indicator lights. Down below, we've got a climate control. So it's automatic climate control. You can set your temperature. Just going to get a couple of personal items out of the way out of a little storage cubby. And I suppose it's not the end of the world. There's some change in it and a pink paper clip. I have a sense that cigar lighter is missing only because the owner has used that as an outlet for a 12 volt outlet for an accessory. We'll try to get that information and pop it into the detailed listing. But there's the shifter for the 4-speed automatic. You see the W and S labels there. So S and W, summer, winter. So in summer, the car is, in summer mode anyway, the car is built to start in first gear. And in winter mode, it's designed to start in second gear so as to avoid wheel spin from ice. But as I was saying earlier, with this low mileage, this car has been lightly used. 51,000 kilometers on an 03. We're not going to promise no winter use, but very, very light winter use, if any. Do take a look at the underside photos on our detailed listing. So we've got a few items here in the console that are kind of reflective of the European roots of this car. This up in front of the handbrake there, that's just a control for a light. Then we've got the ignition to switch the car on, start the car, and the brush inside the handbrake opening is a reminder for me anyway of 80s BMWs. But the 6 buttons we see before us, I suppose I should do a sideway view of that. But up top on the left is a controller for all 4 windows. So one touch, all 4 windows down. And then these 4 are the individual window controls. And then to the top right, that controls the roof. So a power roof. We're not going to demonstrate it on this video, but there are videos on the detailed listing showing the roof on its way up and then on its way down again. This button here appears to be a blank. I'll give you a look at the original Saab floor mats. Not perfectly clean, but original items, and certainly worth a shampoo to get this car looking tip-top. Passenger side shows an original Saab floor mat as well. Nice thick carpet, medium pile anyway. And there's a cargo net over here for the passenger. Inside the glove box, just a garage door opener, air freshener, but nice and clean inside the glove box too. There's a look at that SRS badge to indicate the passenger side airbag. Vents, one on the side, one in the center, one on the driver's side. And then getting a look at the rear seat. I'm operating a power seat here for the driver to give us a bit better look. 2 belts in the rear, so a 4-passenger car. Got the original mats for the rear passengers as well, but black leather with generous headrests for the passengers as well. So shoulder belts here in the rear with receptacles down here in the center. So, and then speakers for stereo on either side by the rear passenger armrests, and pretty funky headrests for the front passengers. Certainly consistent with previous generation Saabs. I remember 80s Saab 900s having something very similar, if not identical. And here's the release to let the passengers in and out. Map pockets or stowage pockets in the rear of the seat for those rear passengers. So we'll get that seat put back. And I think what I'll do is I'll grab the key and we'll have a quick look at the trunk. There are a couple of items in there. I think I already talked about one when we were under the hood. So I grabbed the key because you can operate the trunk that way. And there's an acknowledgement from the light system of the car when you've operated the power lock. We'll get this backpack out of the way. And then here are the ignition parts. I mentioned There are photos of it on the detailed listing. I won't pull it out of the box right now, but you can see there are Saab original parts. As I say, photos of it on the detailed listing for lot 230, the 03 Saab 93 SE convertible. There's just to set up tow hook. And here's the CD changer I mentioned. I think if I slide this cover, the magazine comes out. Look at that. So still functional 21 years later. And you can see the Saab label to indicate an OEM item. So I'll just pop that back in and slide the door back across. And down below, there's a, I won't say unused, it might have been used once or twice, but pretty clean spare tire area. The wheel itself looks unused, but the tire does show a little bit of soiling. And that jack and the tools looking very clean, but maybe not unused. But it's certainly a nice clean trunk floor. So yeah, it just adds to the clean look of the car. Another brilliant Swedish inclusion. This is kind of a regulatory thing now in case anyone were to be locked in the trunk. This piece is both the trunk latch and it's also transparent, or I'll just say glow in the dark. I can't think of the fancy word. Fluorescent is the word I'm looking for, so that someone, if ever locked in the trunk, can release the trunk to get out. But over here, this is not only a handle to pull the trunk down, but this is a reflector as well, so that if the trunk were ever to be open, ajar on a dark night on a roadway, and say the car had lost all power, no problem with this one. We can even see the trunk light operating, but the car would be visible with that reflector by the headlights of the oncoming traffic. So typical Swedish maneuver, thinking of safety. So we'll pop that trunk down using that handle. I don't think I mentioned the rear spoiler when we did the tour, but there's a good look at the rear spoiler. A nice sporty appointment with the center high mounted stoplight, i.e. third brake light, mounted right in the trunk lid in the center, of course. So one more walk around the car and we'll move to some concluding thoughts. Sure is a beautiful day for open top motoring here. I think we'll pull away from the park with the top down. Can't beat it. Beautiful sunny warm day. So here's our glam shot that we like so much. Okay, moving along to some closing thoughts now. So there's a good look at our 2003 Saab 93 SE convertible. Front wheel drive machine, front engine. That engine is a 2-liter inline 4, turbocharged, good for over 200 horsepower. See the exact specs on our detailed listing at CollectorCarCanada.CA. Lot 230 for this one. Silver finish, original paint. And you can check the Carfax for it as well. It's right there on the detailed listing at lot 230, CollectorCarCanada.CA. Silver original finish on black leather, 2+2, only 2 belts in the rear, but low mileage on this one, under 51,000 kilometers, and you'll be buying from the original owner who took delivery back in 2003 for a Turpin Pontiac Buick Saab in Ottawa, Ontario. But this one's ready to go. I'll also point out those low mile Michelin Pilot AS3 tires that look great, great tread on those still, and they really do suit the car. A bit of a sporty look to them, and that other sporty look I like on the car is the rear spoiler. So thank you again for watching. Again, a 2003 Saab 93 SE convertible, under 51,000 kilometers from the original owner. Thanks for watching, and on to the next car.